traders, agents of the Foundation, were the silent vanguard of influence and expansion across the periphery. Among them, Limmar Ponyets received a summons to Askone, a rigid and insular planet resistant to technological change. Suspicion colored every interaction with the outsiders, and the ruling elders kept a close eye on foreign ideas. A fellow Foundationer, Eskil Gorov, had been imprisoned there, accused of spreading forbidden knowledge. Ponyets, well-versed in the art of negotiation and deception, accepted the mission to secure his release. Yet he knew diplomacy here meant playing a dangerous game against a society locked in its ancient customs. Ponyets landed on Askone under the pretense of trade and diplomacy. From the ship's ramp to the stiff terrain below, he felt the weight of suspicion. The Askonian officials eyed him warily, uncomfortable with his technology-laden attire and the quiet hum of his ship's systems. He requested an audience with the Grand Master, intending to trade goods of value. But his true aim lay beneath the surface, freeing Gorov. Ponyets offered exotic trinkets laced with science disguised as divine artifacts. His presence stirred tension among the elders who feared even a whisper of innovation might corrode their traditions. In the stone halls of Askone's council chamber, Gorov stood chained and defiant, defending his actions as acts of mercy. He had tried to introduce rudimentary power cells for medical purposes, but the elders saw only heresy. Ponyets observed the trial with a careful eye, sensing the rigidity of Askonian law. The Grand Master decreed that Gorov's fate lay in exile or execution. Ponyets, masked in diplomacy, requested to plead a case for trade and mercy. He knew the Council's pride was their vulnerability, and with careful manipulation, he might expose their desire for power hidden beneath sacred customs. Ponyets crafted a machine that transmuted iron into gold using atomic principles, cloaked in mysticism for the Askonians. He presented it as a divine instrument, a gift from the stars, but hinted at its price. The Grand Master, intrigued and tempted by wealth, saw a chance to solidify his rule. Ponyets emphasized the machine's exclusivity and secrecy, flattery that massaged the Grand Master's ego. The trap was set. Trade the prisoner for the artifact, and Ponyets would vanish, leaving Askone richer. Greed veiled the Grand Master's judgment. The Council, split between awe and fear, leaned toward the promise of divine favor. As the transmutation device hummed softly in the chamber, the Grand Master watched iron turn to gold with widening eyes. The glow reflecting in his gaze revealed his inner conflict, an elder sworn to uphold Askone's traditions, yet lured by divine wealth. Ponyets subtly pushed the narrative. The device was a reward for faith and vision. He stressed the dangers of misuse and the honor of its secrecy. Murmurs spread through the council. While some still clung to orthodoxy, others saw opportunity. The Grand Master, sensing the tides of influence shifting, began to rationalize betrayal of ancient decrees for future supremacy. Late in the evening, Ponyets met privately with the Grand Master. There, in the flickering light of ancient torches, the trade was struck. Gorov's life in exchange for the divine machine. The Grand Master requested assurances, silence from the Foundation, and secrecy for his own status. Ponyets agreed with practiced diplomacy, masking triumph behind humility. The deal was sealed not with documents, but a shared understanding rooted in desire and exploitation. Ponyets delivered the machine and collected Gorov, both men aware that the Foundation's true victory was not the gold, but the breach in Askone's ideological armor. As the Foundation vessel rose from Askone's atmosphere, Ponyets and Gorov reflected in the control room. Gorov questioned the ethics of the manipulation. Ponyets responded with pragmatism. In a galaxy ruled by superstition and fear, subtle influence was more effective than force. The transmutation device had been tampered to cease functioning within weeks, a deception to stoke confusion, not power. They had planted the seed of dependence. The Foundation would return, not as conquerors, but as saviors. Gorov, weary yet impressed, conceded that diplomacy through commerce held greater sway than proselytizing science to the unwilling. News of the Askonian trade spread through the periphery, whispered in marketplaces and trade hubs. Tales of divine machines and golden miracles fueled awe and anxiety. Other planets, locked in their own traditions, began to consider what the Foundation offered, not as foreign intrusion, but as mystical salvation. Traders like Ponyets became the new missionaries, bearing not holy books, but gadgets wrapped in wonder. The Foundation's influence expanded not by conquest, but by need, through desire, through stories, through silent, irresistible infiltration. And in the heart of Terminus, the Council nodded in satisfaction. The Seldon plan remained on track. Back on Terminus, Ponyets and Gorov reported their success to the Foundation's inner council. Their tale, though clouded by moral ambiguity, was praised. The council emphasized results over methods, noting that influence had deepened across the periphery without bloodshed. The economic and psychological conquest of Askone was a model for future expansion. In their eyes, trade was no less a weapon than fleets. Ponyets accepted the accolades with quiet pride, while Gorov remained contemplative. Their mission had been a test of ideals, and the Foundation had chosen manipulation over principle. But the galaxy, they reasoned, rarely rewarded purity. Later, Gorov walked alone through the bustling streets of Terminus, haunted by the implications. Askone was just the beginning. What happened when the Foundation's miracles wore off? Would these worlds collapse into chaos or come crawling back for more? He feared dependence without understanding might breed resentment. Despite his loyalty, he worried the plan's moral compass had tilted. Yet even as he wrestled with the questions, he couldn't deny the effectiveness of their strategy. The Foundation's quiet conquest was underway, one subtle transaction at a time, and he was a part of it, willingly or not. Ponyets stood aboard his ship, ready for another mission. He reviewed his logs and prepared the next shipment of goods, seemingly miraculous tools to be traded as faith or magic. He understood now that power lay not in what was traded, but in how it was perceived. The galaxy was a canvas of superstitions, ripe for influence. Traders were not merely merchants. They were architects of belief, carriers of influence, and silent soldiers of the Seldon plan. He smiled faintly, not with arrogance, but with certainty. He didn't need an army, just one transaction at a time. Across the stars, the Foundation's influence spread like roots beneath the surface. Planets, once hostile or indifferent, now hosted Foundation traders offering wonders in exchange for loyalty. The old empires withered, blind to the silent shift beneath their feet. In the great halls of the Time Vault, Seldon's holographic gaze remained silent. For now, the plan was unfolding not with battles, but with bargains. The traders were the spark, igniting transformation through greed, belief, and need. The revolution was quiet, but it was everywhere, and it could not be stopped.